Things actually in the fall kind of opened up a little bit as the caseload was continuing to go down from a surge in the summer in July, and then kind of came down, 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 down. And so we were actually able to do something we hadn't been able to do in 7, 8 months, and have worship outside together, which was kind of cool.
Before we started doing that, I think I had only met like a dozen people, like maybe at the most, parishioners from All Souls. Preaching to that little green dot in the live stream is just like very anxiety producing, especially when you don't know who's on the other side of that. And so like those first few weeks of the outdoor worship, when I got to like actually meet people, like that dot became like representative of so much more. And I was just like so excited to kind of get to know people. And but I was also worried that it wouldn't feel like church, because we're all in masks, we can't really sing, we have to sit super far apart from each other, we can't shake hands. Um and yeah, I feel like it really did feel like church. And I think people who experienced that for those couple months that we were able to do it, I hope that they would agree that even with all those restrictions, it really did feel worshipful and community building, and it felt like church to me.
But the last Sunday of the church year in November was also the last Sunday participating in the skeleton crew for Jocelyn Bergen um, as they prepared to move to New York. But one of the reasons I wanted to mention this and mention Tripp's departure as well is because, and I find myself telling a version of this story somehow every year at the annual meeting, um, which is that one of the things that sticks with me the most about Life at All Souls is the kind of next person up approach. And so Tripp left us, and Ed Hoffman was there, stepped right in. And Jocelyn left our skeleton crew, and Deirdre Nuri was right there, stepped up and sang. And that means a lot, and it's incredible. Um, and yet again, people showed up, you know.
And that continued as we got into December and into Advent. And so, for instance, the Advent Taizé series, as you mentioned, Jamie, the Spruce Street Steps seemed like a way we could do something rather than not have something. This idea came from Bob Holm to try and do Advent windows. And I can remember, like, I sat on that idea for a little while and thought, okay, this is really cool, but is now the time? And I remember kind of floating a trial balloon at our staff meeting, and there was like the energy just like spiked. Like it's like, oh yeah, let's do that. And I think we launched that in a week's time. But also another way, nothing that really was different is the Advent in gatherings, which we've done for a long, long time. But this represented to me a shift for All Souls, because over the last year and a half or so, 2 years, we've begun intentional relationship building with folks in different camps here in Berkeley.
I mean, I think my biggest sense from this year was that it was not something we were doing for others, it was something we were doing with others. And that felt really, really amazing. And just the amount of things that people dropped off for the camps was huge. I mean, we were able to share a lot of items, useful items, and that was really great. And I know they were really grateful.
And then, well, Christmas did come, but Maggie Foote decided there's going to be something a little different this year.
Yeah, well, I was like kind of racking my brain trying to figure out what to do for the Christmas pageant. And when I first started thinking about it, we were still able to meet outdoors a little bit. And I was like, well, maybe we'll be able to, organize something outdoors. And then it became really clear to me that that wasn't going to happen. So then I was like, well, we should do a video. And so I decided, like, why don't we just have families kind of come up on their own with the way they want to interpret the scene. And so we had some pretty straightforward reenactments, and then we had some more interpretive scenes. And I think like the whole thing just felt like light and funny, but also kind of like sweet. And I feel like we really told the story. That was another moment for me that really felt like this is us showing up in a hard moment, doing something that is normally means one thing, and this year it has to mean something else.
We also did something we hadn't done before in terms of inviting people to pick up a Eucharist that we had consecrated that morning, so that 163 people, could at least participate in that way with Christmas communion. Our bread bakers baked baked little teeny loaves that were very small, but they were that bread that we have come to associate with the presence of Jesus being with us. And that was really, really important. Okay, so that was 2020.
Oh man, it was wild.
Well, this is the first time I've tried. I have not made an attempt to look back at 2020. Like, I've been avoiding it, actually. But, like, that was a lot.
Yeah.
That's my exact feeling, Danny.
Mine too.
Yeah.
People have showed up in the pandemic has just been really something.
When Whitney was describing all the people who wanted to read for the book club, I was thinking of that exact phrase, Danny. They showed up.